All right, here we are. Hello there, and welcome to the CoCast Network. I am your government master, Tony, and today we will be giving you yet another episode of the Cooperation Podcast. Let me go ahead and let the other hosts introduce themselves before we start.
I'm
My
Donald
name is.
Dictine.
You go first.
I'm
I'm
Donald
Kalen.
Dictine. Oh.
Such an
Just go.
asshole.
I'm done. I did it twice.
I'm Kalen.
I am chairman over several districts yet to be determined, Josh Robbins.
And this is a podcast where over the next course of the hour, we will be discussing and building a society that has already been started. This is kind of similar to a D&D-esque campaign, but instead of going on an adventure, these guys are going to run a city council. And in the spirit of getting into this, I have a little introduction I've prepared for you guys for this session. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Probably not.
Hello there, council members. It is I, your Tony system, your terrestrial omnipotent network intelligence. Now, I know things are stressful right now, and so I thought some topical humor might help you settle into this apocalyptic scenario and keep your spirits up. I noticed it is Easter, and I just wanted to, since it's Easter, I wanted to wish you all a happy day and let you know that just like an egg being hidden on Easter, we too are now going down the rabbit hole to be left to fester and grow fragrant as we wait until we can emerge new and be found by the future societies. Now, there are some things I want to inform you of that have happened last session. Now, first off, we voted to change the prime directive of the base. Now our main goal is no longer just to survive, but to try to find a cure for this disease that is plaguing humanity, as well as to preserve and protect as much of humanity as possible in the process. To do this, your base has been outfitted with 100 cryostasis tubes to start out with the resources and facilities necessary to produce more as time progresses. 50 of these tubes are filled by specialists who will not fit into your current population, but who can be awoken at any time based off of a vote by the council. In addition, you will have received a list of all 300 of your inhabitants for the bunker. At any point, any of these people can be called forward to speak with you on issues on the bunker, to get their feelings on what decisions you are making, as well as to ask for input from these specialists and just general inhabitants of your bunker. Now, today, we need to make some decisions. Are there any matters that the council members want to bring up directly to start, or would you like me to suggest a topic?
I'd like a suggestion.
Okay. My suggestion is, in a past episode, you all began to discuss the possibility of implementing a point system, some way that would help you monitor and maintain the workers of your bunker and give them tasks to complete in exchange for a certain monetary type reward. Is that something you all are still interested in pursuing?
Pursuing discussion of.
Discussion.
All right.
We need to figure that out.
If I remember correctly, basically what Kalen was kind of the one who started this thing. He said that he believed that the society could function where at the beginning of each day or week or whatever, there was a series of tasks that were presented to the inhabitants of the bunker. They could then take a look at these tasks and select which ones they wanted to do in exchange for points. These points would be awarded once the task was completed, and the points could be used to use several of your recreational facilities throughout the bunker. Now, does anyone have any more thoughts on this? Anything that they've been thinking over? Any problems they think might arise? Don?
Did we discuss the value of the point system? So say one task would have more value than the others. That's kind of assumed that's kind of a blanket thing that we can just, guess if you're shoveling coal, it's going to be more than sweeping the floor.
That'd be like a
Kinda
red
like that.
tier. It'd be like a red tier, which would be like a more higher price. You get more points awarded for that.
Now, is it based off of just the computer's discretion? Is it based off time? Is it based off manual effort? Is it based off a combination of all?
I'd say based off the needs of what the bunker needs at the time being. So it could be, say, we need more production in food one day, or we need more defense, or something along these lines, depending on the biggest needs. And then at some point, they can all start equaling more, or they can all start becoming more, manual labor base gets higher points, or longer time periods get higher points. But the things that really require the most attention at first, those get more points.
So this is basically a supply and demand based economy, essentially. But instead of for goods, it's for services. As the demand for the job increase, well, as the supply of the necessary manpower decreases, the value of it will increase.
Yes.
Now, is there any kind of cap on this? Like, let's say people just really hate shoveling coal. No one wants to shovel coal, and it keeps not getting done, and it gets to a critical level. Like, do we just keep offering more and more points until someone bites the bullet and does it?
At that point, there's got to be a full hard limit to where you have to start. We have to start laying down saying we're going to take 4 people and move them from here. That if there are people that's already overcrowded, it's already probably seeing diminishing returns on the investment, and then just move them to coal for that time period until coal's been done. And then after that, we can give them those points and then just move them back if we don't need that done, or they can stay there.
Yeah, I wanted to add onto that. I think that sounds like a fine idea to me, but potentially, assuming that some of these tasks are going to be repeated matters that we will be asking to do over and over again, perhaps we could gauge people's responses to like which ones they're taking and which ones they're like not really taking up, and trying to alter maybe some of like like we'll make it a 2-man job instead of just one person doing it, or like just try to fine tune the list to notice tasks that are being ignored, to make them not or less ignored, if that makes sense.
So you think that there should be a heavy component of input from the people working the jobs? Like we're getting input as the system goes to see where the flaws in the system may lie. Is that what you're suggesting?
And whatever the computer notices too, like the computer will notice when certain tasks are being ignored, and I think that there could be potentially an algorithm that could be at play here that could maybe take into account when tasks are generally just like less desired, and try to make them either more valued, that way they have more desire to be taken, or you know because if it's like a green or like a yellow tier task, and it's not paying enough, people don't think that it's paying enough because people aren't taking it, then maybe that would be a case where that would necessitate more points to be offered, so more people will take it.
Out of
Maybe
curiosity,
there's sort of like a
Josh, you
sort
go
of
ahead.
steps as far as in response to how people want to deal with a lack of people doing a job. Like we start by increasing the number of credits. If that doesn't work, then we get our points. If that doesn't work, then we go to let's change the task itself, modify it to make it a little bit easier. Or, vice versa, if we notice that there's a certain task that isn't as difficult as we necessarily perceived it to be, or we found a better way that makes it easier, we don't need to do it as much, lower the credits, so on
Right,
and so
like-
forth.
Yeah, Josh, got it right. Yeah.
Don, did you have
Oh,
something?
so I guess this is kind of just a basic question for the amount of jobs that we give and jobs on the board. Are we letting people pick specifically what job they have, or they're say, how many people have basic in 300?
Yes, there are 300
We
members
have
of the population.
300 jobs exactly, and they just pick those 300, or is there some that require more? So like, is there 350 jobs since there's only 300 people? Or what kind of job structure do we want? Where there's 300 jobs exactly, or do we want only a certain amount of jobs in specific fields? So say education might have 20 jobs, coal miners might have 50. Or do we want to cut it down to like education might have 10, coal miners have 10, so that way out of the 300, there's 300 jobs to choose from, or out of the 300 people, they just choosing any job, can they choose the same job?
That is a good question as well. So do they claim the job up front? Because that could lead to a problem. Like, let's say if 2 people are working the same job and one of them finishes it and claims the credit, and then the other person, like, do you go and select the job and then it's taken off the roster, or is it because that also could lead to the problem that someone could go and claim a really high paying job, and not really know how to do it or not complete it, and then no one else does it because they have it in their job book.
So I think that could be. Go ahead.
Should we separate this in the way things are skilled versus unskilled labor in terms of like the education portion or things such as things that require already a degree of knowledge from the past world? Should we have jobs like that set up for people who already have experience in it? And then for the unskilled laborers, they can choose. And then for the skilled laborers, they can still choose, but that would require them to work their job, but then also study around the same time, kind of like how things just are now in the real world. Or could we give them an apprenticeship in the skilled labor, and they're more of they don't get as many points as the unskilled labor, but they would get points and still learn more to get more points when they go in that skilled labor position. So basically, I'm saying it's the exact same system we're in now in the United States, but with points.
Yeah, I was about to say, could you, because think about this as your breakdown of your population. You have several members, because I'll post a link to this sheet if anyone who's listening to this wants to view it online or something. I'll put it in the podcast notes, so a way to access this list if you want to look at it. But there's a breakdown of everyone in the base, and you have essentially there are 100 people who are specializing in machine fabrication as well as immunology. And those are very specialized people who are meant to be working a very specialized job, which is finding the cure for this zombie disease, as well as people who will fabricate and make new cryostasis tubes, as well as maintain the ones that are in operation. Then, in addition to that, you have 50 people who are military and security based, who are the ones who will help you do excursions out into the real world to help you gather supplies and clear areas out as you see fit. Then there are 50 more people who are base maintenance, whose main job is to work essential jobs. Like, they have jobs that pertain to essential facility needs inside the base. And then you have 100 people who are kind of miscellaneous, that they're either children who are below 18, who I right now are assuming are not going to be required to work. And then the rest are people who are family members or random additions to the base who were chosen randomly, who have jobs that don't necessarily pertain to what they need to do in the base, but were brought in randomly. And I'm saying that obviously, for example, you have one member of your list, I forget what his name is, but he's a professional gamer. He's not going to be the one that you're going to be having breaking down your bio samples and performing immunization tests. You know, he doesn't have that skill set. What stops him from going and saying, hey, there's a high tier job that's offering all these points. I'll just go select that one and just try it and see, and you know.
Can I make a suggestion maybe?
His name is Wayne Price. Sorry.
Wayne Price.
Wayne Price.
Wayne Price the gamer. I believe he's the husband of one of the immunologists too.
So without the risk of, gouging a bunch of people out of getting high paying jobs, but we're trying to map the skilled labor to where their skills are needed at. So maybe we just provide like different like task channels to where certain jobs are inaccessible to be viewed if you're not in that specialization. If you're just like in some sort of miscellaneous group, then you're just going to be shown miscellaneous tasks. You're not going to be shown how to like fix.
How about since before we even
bunker
put the jobs,
slack, if you will.
bunker slack,
bunker slack, yeah.
How about before we even put the jobs out? Since we already know who specialize when they come in, we already get them to those positions and then hide those positions from other people, and then show them the other ones. Although, even though somewhere down the line, we're going to say we need apprentices or people for immunization because they're not always going to be here. So we put 20 jobs on the line, and then later on down the line, 20 unskilled laborers could take it if they want. And they come and then kind of refresh. But
we have, sorry.
All I was going to say is I'm going to bring up my favorite question, because I've asked this several times already. Does that not inherently lead to a class system where you have your immunologists and cryogenic researchers and fabricators serving as the upper tier of your workforce?
Oh, it definitely would. And this is the one thing why I don't understand why Diego gave me his vote, because this is the one thing we disagree with.
Yeah.
I think a class system is necessary to a point because
It's
it-
impossible.
it's
to avoid.
impossible to avoid, because if you have people who are doing immunizations, but the person who's shoveling coal gets the exact same amount, I mean, there are going to be some people who work in immunizations saying, I want to do it because I enjoy doing it, I want to help humanity. Then you can have some who say, well, screw this. I'm not doing this if I could go play video games for the same amount of time as the guy who shovels coal.
Well, I don't
One-
think that I don't think the guy who was the professional gamer as his former occupation will be working as a professional gamer in the bunker
No,
necessarily.
no, I'm talking about the points
But-
you can use to play
yeah.
in the center.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate. I'm going to be the dirty socialist for this episode. And
I
and
wanted that.
well, Josh, you had something to say.
I'm kidding. No, go.
No, but did you not have something you wanted to say? I feel
Go.
like okay.
Oh, no.
I think that the main thing is not necessarily that there is a class system. It's the inability to move throughout the class systems. Because right now it's like, okay, we shove all the shitty work off to the miscellaneous, and the immunologists are the ones who are given a stable workforce, not heavy like physical based work. One thing that was proposed, and is actually a facility you currently have in your bunker, is a university. Now, could you offer, in theory, people could earn points by studying one of these fields that would make them be able to join one of the upper tier workforces? Now, I get, once again, this will be a balancing act, because then if you have all 100 people like, okay, I want to study toxicology, you don't need all 100 people doing that. But also, I mean, it's a fairly rigorous thing. I think it's one of those things, it's not like everyone will have the wherewithal to do this, but you also, if you paid people to get educated, if these points were given out also for education in these more specialized fields, could you use that to bolster up your workforce?
So the one thing actually, I've been talking for a while here. Does anyone want to start first?
Well, we have a lot of students in our bunker already. Like, that is what their sort of occupation is. So I think giving them even a minor incentive to sort of learn a new trade is a very good idea, very valuable to our future, honestly.
And thinking on a long-term basis, eventually your immunologists will pass away or become too old to continue working at their full capacity, as well as
We
in
need
emergency
apprenticeships.
situations. Right. And how do you facilitate that and have them balance the workforce's desire to maintain the bunker and make a living to use the recreational facilities, with the desire to become part of the Prime Directive and to help out and to help humanity? Like, I think that is a question that has to be asked. What is the incentive for them
Okay.
to learn these specialized trades?
That makes me want to propose a vote about a
Okay.
very fundamental thing.
Can I just maybe add something potentially to your vote? I think I know where it's going. Just as a heads up.
Perhaps you might know. Okay, so I wanted to like basically lay down the groundworks for like, are people choosing their professions, or are we assigning them as a student?
So that's actually one thing I want to bring up real quick is I think at first you can I think at first they can choose what they want. We can have a wide array of subjects to teach from, but when things get too bogged down, say for some reason like half the immunologists just die and everyone's studying something else, we give more incentive and more points for people to go into this field. And if they don't, then we say you're going to have to go to this field and pick some people, or at least the ones that require, like if we don't have, we will die, or at least do not fulfill the prime directive we have set up in this facility, which is to find a cure and survive.
So it kind of sounds like it's switching now from more of you're being paid by the task, like a gig economy, gamification, Postmates style thing, to salaries. Because it
We
sounds
kind
like
of have to.
that, and the salaries sound like they could be adjusted based off of the needs of the bunker, which I don't know, to me kind of does make more sense. than paying for each individual task. Um, as well as it seems like it might help life in the bunker feel more cohesive, like it make it feel a little bit less like, oh, I'm picking up trash this one day, I don't know what I'm doing, and it gives everyone kind of a purpose. But also, is there a way for people to possibly break out of these systems if they feel like they are not doing a job that is fulfilling to them?
The way I see we can do
So
it
I
is,
think, oh, no,
sorry, just real quick,
we were probably going to say the same thing.
probably you go ahead.
Aptitude tests.
I wasn't gonna say aptitude tests. I was because aptitude tests, I hated those, or at least hated the idea of
They
aptitude
suck.
tests.
However, it's a way we can either convince people they are good at something and sort of rig them in a way that, if we need a certain group of people and they even score moderately well in that area, we just tell them they're insanely good at it and hopefully they go do it.
Okay,
It's a way we can almost sort of direct where people go and where the jobs are at any given time.
I
It's
thought you were
sort of
saying, it
bad,
seems like you're good at
but-
art. We're going to force you to go to art. That's what I thought you were trying to say right there. So
No,
that's
no, no,
completely
but just like
different than what I thought.
tell them they're like the 97% match for a career in art.
I like that. And you can have those tests, periodically. So like if you have it 1 year and then maybe 2 years
Right, and
later,
give
take it
people-
again.
If you hate your job, like, here, yeah, try it again. See, it's like, let's reevaluate where you're at. You may have picked up some new skills. But really, we
Yeah.
just need more people to do something different.
You just rig the test. Like, oh, wow, you like art? You can do it in
Yes.
politics.
It's
No, but
kind of evil, but
it's necessary. But what I was going to say is, just kind of lay out the whole thing. We have a point system for work you do. Specialized work, of course, you get better points. And we already have the specialized workers who came in before. And then for all the other jobs, people could have their jobs and then also go to the university on the side too. And they'll get points for both. They'll get the normal points for working, and they'll get the same kind of points for going to university, which university isn't a lot of points unless you're full-time. If you're part-time, it's not a lot, but it's still not enough to make a whole lot if you're just a full-time student. You still got to work a little. We need that incentive to keep them working too.
Well, and also because you
And-
would be asking people to give up their recreation time if they're working their job in addition to university. Their recreation time would be going towards them going to the university. And then
And-
having more money would maybe allow them to do more with their recreation time when they had it.
And once they have that new skill set, then they make more points and they can spend it more. And in terms of when, say, there's too many of one specialization out, and we need, like, there are too many people going to one degree and not enough of the other four that we have. I'll say in this example, we'll go ahead and we can either lower the points given for studying that one degree everyone's studying, raise the points for the other four, which is something we can do, or we can do those aptitude tests and also do the same thing. So people think, you know what, I'm not getting a lot for studying this one subject everyone else is, but this aptitude test would be pretty good at, building walls, so I should go over there.
Okay, here's a what was
But
it? I had an idea.
it
Sorry.
has to be like, sorry, I don't think we can like blatantly lie to people. Like if they
course.
don't, like, there has to be like some at least some score, but we may inflate it to a percentage.
Of course, and it would weed out the people who take the degree just because everyone else they know is taking the degree.
What if there was almost a requirement if you wanted to switch jobs, that the switching of jobs to any of this, obviously to a skilled position, would require you to go to university? Like you couldn't just be like, oh, I want to try out. I don't want to try out. I want to try out toxicology. It's like, okay, well, you're working right now in general maintenance. If you want to do that, then yes, we can set you up with an apprenticeship, but you also will have to be taking university classes. Like you'll have to take university classes before that to earn an apprenticeship. Which is open to everybody. There's no cost and effect. You're being paid to do this. But you have to go, because one, that also allows people to try it out first. Like, hey, you'll be working this apprenticeship but it's not a guaranteed job. And, at the end of it, there is, some kind of evaluation to determine whether or not they have the skills and they have the skills to do the job, as well as the desire to do it on their own terms.
I do like that. I do want maybe there is because there's a lot of people go to college who don't really know what they want to do
Mhm.
in life. They just get right out of high school and they go straight to college. I do want there to be maybe like you can have a week or two to or like a day or two to just shadow someone in a field you think you'd like.
Well, what I was suggesting was not necessarily just for our students. I was saying like you're 35 years old, you've been working as
Oh
a
yeah.
janitor. You could go back to the university to learn how to become an electrician or to study immunology, or if you want to try to become a cryogenic technician. And you get to essentially your university is an apprenticeship. It involves an apprenticeship component. All the university programs would be partially in space education and partially apprenticeship shadowing these figures or whatever. And there definitely could be a class that is like, hey, here's your sample platter of all our specialized positions. You get to spend a day helping out with all these tasks. And that would also kind of build in um, this these positions of kind of the more
Trial
unskilled.
period.
Well, I was going to say it gives that these specialized positions some unskilled like labor to help them out. It's like, okay, like we need people who can help label trays and move stuff around and carry stuff and take notes, which they don't need a full degree, but that way we don't have to use as many people who are, I have 3 PhDs in biology, um, and but we need someone in this room to be taking notes, so I'm just writing shit down. There's all that kind of fills in this need for these people and gives them a way to start entering these programs as well.
The sample platter kind of class is what I was thinking of too, in terms of anyone this probably age range just gets an idea what it is first before they go through this whole process. So that way they know before they waste their entire time, frankly, the professor's time and the bunker's time if they decide not to do it.
I almost think that should be, it's like when you turn like it should be required for all the children of the bunker, and then you can opt to take it as someone working in the workforce if you want.
Yeah, and also, you don't have to take a specialized position if you don't want to. You could stay a
Right.
coal mine for your whole life if you want to.
Or once again, there will be other jobs like entertainment. Will probably there will be a need for entertainment in the base, and probably some people can have work as musicians, writers, and that could even that this opens up a possibility of kind of you have your main job, and then there might be even a way that you can kind of monetize your hobbies almost as well, in a way, like it's like I work in the day, I clean and I do this stuff, but in the afternoon, like I can either do my leisure activities, or I can earn some extra points by participating in a community play, or helping out with like a concert and programming the lights and doing this stuff. That it's the it's not necessarily that you have to do these things, but that also kind of helps facilitate. This is kind of a shift. This isn't exactly what we're talking about, but is there anything in that, in also just in general community, getting paid for general community interaction and
Sure.
support? Like if you are helping better and increase the quality of living in the bunker, do you also get points for that?
Is it fair to separate the salary currency from the like social currency? So it's like you could say like you have your like living wage dollar, but then you have like your social coin, which is like perhaps a better way, because you could say like people who like have like more higher end paying jobs, like with a better salary, would just be able to add on top the good deeds that they're doing, like and getting paid for those miscellaneous tasks like on top of that. Whereas like perhaps maybe making them like not like a fiat currency that's like based off of one another, but one of them is like more of like the social currency is used for other things besides like the regular things you might make purchases with.
So
If that makes sense.
so the social currency reminds me a lot of what China currently has. And I'm gonna read you exactly what it is, and it blows my mind.
Crossing.
Animal, I do not want to. First off, I don't like the social currency system. It scares me. But this is how it sets. It's by its It's the social credit system. By its wide definition, is a set of databases and initiatives that monitor and assess the trustworthiness of individuals, companies, and government entities. Each entry is given a social credit score with rewards for those who have high rating and punishment for those with low ratings.
I think what I was trying to say is less that like you're given like you hold the door open for someone and you get points. It's less that. It's more because there will be is well, and I guess it depends on if we think there is a need for people to be working in the entertainment sectors and in the kind of entertainment support, the things that can't be automated. Are those their full-time positions, or are they working, or are they incentivized to do that on top of their one job? Like, is there someone in the bunker whose job is I'm just an actor, I just act?
So one thing I was uh, one thing I was thinking of is instead of social credit points, we can just do. Well, I guess it really comes down to, before I start talking, is who is delegating how many points is reserved for each job, task, and what it is, and that's us. We're the ones delegating those points, deciding what's you know, what's 5 points, 10 points, 20 points, 30 points. And so I think, since we are the government, if there is someone who's sitting on a play and they have an opening to take control of the lights and someone wants to do it in their free time, then they ask us how many points we think that's worth, and then they go ahead and make the points available and said, whoever wants to take this, this would be 10 points for this amount of time.
Could there maybe be a program where people so it'd be just like going to see a real here's my question. Can you exchange these points with each other? Could you give someone points if you wanted? Could I say, hey, you can have 50 of my points?
We're basically talking like this, like it's cash. So I think delegating points is okay if you want to. If you want to give someone, say, 5 points, I don't think there's any reason why someone says, hey, I don't have an extra point to play dodgeball. Can I have a point? Sorry, I can't give it to you. It's just not my say. I think you can delegate it if you want to.
Because I was about to say, could it just be that people are paid points? Like the economy also works at with a demand level from the population. It's like, hey, the people working the play get the points from the people who come to see the play, like basically ticket sales.
That could work. Well, it really depends if they want to start charging points for plays. Because then at that point, that would be later on in civilization when things have, become more normal and there's not really much of a big apocalypse.
Well, here's the thing to understand, and Diego has made this point before, and I think I agree. And once again, it's not necessarily 100% true, but this bunker is safe. People in the bunker are not in danger. Like, it's not like people are like, I get what you're saying, like in an apocalypse scenario, things are going to shift, but it's not going to be like people are laying around a campfire like, okay, well, we can't make noise tonight or the zombies are going to eat us alive. There will be plenty of time, I think, there's people just sitting around bored. And I think there will be a desire for like, man, I fucking miss TV. Like, and I miss going out to concerts and plays and all this stuff. And I think that, there also has to be some kind of incentive to encourage people to, because, okay, speaking as the computer, your prime directive is also to preserve as much of humanity as possible, which includes culture. And you want to make sure that musicians are still being made, and actors and writers and all this other stuff. Like, do you want that to die out, or do you want to have some kind of incentive that helps keep cultural aspects of humanity thriving and alive?
Since we're talking about just points for entertainment, if we started going more into food, then I'd agree with you saying we could charge ticket sale prices. But since we're just talking about points for entertainment value, I think that should stick more for the work. I think if we want to talk more about food, because I did say we're kind of working with a currency system here, but it's still an entertainment system. So it's not actual cash. These people aren't paying for their houses. They can't really move anywhere. So I don't see a reason why there has to be a currency system where they have to pay ticket prices in this bunker as of right now.
Yeah.
Because they're not leaving anywhere. There's no place they can go. And so if we start charging for this place, there's going to be a full-blown riot. And because people are going to say, why are the ticket prices going up because people are going to say we can charge more, we can charge more, we can charge more.
Well, but if they're being paid from the ticket prices, then like they don't they have the incentive to
Oh,
make
I
things
meant that.
affordable?
I meant that the that human error could come into play, and the people running the play could say, we made so much with just $1. Let's with 1 point. Let's do 1.5. Let's try 2.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying it would happen altogether, but I'm saying it could escalate to a point.
Okay.
And one thing I love most is honestly just free public park plays.
Mhm.
I love getting around, sitting around a lot of people. Obviously, with COVID, they're not around that much anymore. But I think keeping plays free, because as of right now, we're not dealing with real currency. We already have a set system for food and play. We have a set system for as long as you work, education, that's okay. Entertainment should be free. And I think actors who provide the work for that entertainment should be paid the same, because when it comes down to it, after a hard day of work, if you don't have entertainment, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So if you don't have this kind of entertainment or free entertainment, like if you don't want to spend your points on
Mhm.
in the entertainment facilities, but you have these free plays or these free things, these freebies, then I mean, it goes, it's a small thing, but it goes a long way in terms of morale.
Yeah, and that's completely fine, but it's I'm asking at the end of the day, how are these actors getting paid? It's because it's not their full-time jobs is what I think what where we landed. It's not like they're just paid to like, or is it? Or do we set aside a certain part of the population that is meant just for entertainment and to maintain those facilities?
I think it could be the same way as how we discuss how hobbies are, how you can monetize your hobbies. So
Mhm.
say if someone wants to work lights, they
Mhm.
get like 5 points. Actors, the same thing. They'll say, I would always want to try acting, and if I can get 5 points for trying something that I like, then I'd go for it.
This is interesting. An idea that people are not paying for these services, but people can monetize their hobbies through this points. Because I kind of do like that and it's not just for entertainment. That's the easiest analogy to make. But it could also be like, hey, someone wants to learn carpentry and they can build furniture that people then have access to like have in the bunker like after it's been built or whatever, like essentially you get, and it would maybe be like you have your main career, but you can also like take out these smaller contracts that are more task based, like hey, build like like spend your time doing carpentry, spend like do this play, and you get like an additional points for doing that. Like it's kind of a subsidy almost on top of your actual salary.
Mhm.
I mean, does anyone have any feelings on that either direction? Is that
I, I think that makes sense.
That
um,
makes sense to me.
and I think it helps encourage the creative, because if you have I think it helps encourage the creativity. And once again, it's not something that's required. So if someone's like, well, I work my job, I just want to watch this stuff, I don't really want to participate, they already have their points to go watch the stuff. The people who spend their time doing this, then they have those points. It's like, okay, well, I have a little bit more money now that I can spend. Well, I have a little few more points now that I can spend in my free time to go do this, or I can trade it with other people to get furniture or whatever that's built in the carpentry shop. Like I think there will be, if you have tradable points, there will be some system that emerges of people who are going to trade something for these points, like whether that be like I don't think it'll be food or anything because that's free, but and I think that a certain amount of capitalism is fine. I think that you can have that bit of the trading of the stuff that people make, and now what that becomes is after this art is produced, I think that's like you get paid to produce the paintings up front, the artists are paid, and then these things enter into a kind of self-sustaining um, economy in the bunker itself, where it's like people are like, okay, I
Hmm.
really like that painting in your room, can I give you some points and I'll take that, and they're like, oh sure, and then you know you go and pick out another painting from the art shop or whatever. I mean, is that
I
anything?
think it's a good alternative. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good way for people to use excess points as well as like, give them something to work towards, unless and if they don't
Hmm.
necessarily want to, just use our recreational services. Also, on that note, can we have at least one free recreational service?
Well, I think what John Don was saying is that it's like you don't pay to go see the play. You don't, and the only thing I think it's weirder is like and honestly, I think that maybe you don't even pay to like get the paintings or the furniture. Like it's all up for grabs essentially. You just go in and like, oh, I want that. and like they'll take it to your room. But the artist gets paid by the system, and then but once it's in someone's possession, they could in theory trade that around if someone wanted to. But that also
So,
could
no. So what we can do is, in terms of trading by person, we can do it in a place where the system could pay you, but say like they'll give you 2 credits
Mhm.
for doing it. But then if they say, hey, if you give me 3 credits right now, I'll give it to you. Like, okay, and it's like a higher bidder kind of thing.
Mhm.
And
Someone
so
can
we can give them a base, kind of like with food, there's a base already, and then you just make more from the what work you do. You get a base point, but if you want to make more, you don't get those 2 points we'd give you. You get the 3 the other person gives you
Mhm.
if they decided to like auction for it. So it's almost like a feudal system
Yeah.
mixed with capitalism.
Oh no. Okay. Well,
That's interesting because I do see some problems that can arise because you could have someone like, let's say, okay, here's my plan. I'm going to go into the furniture shop. I'm going to use all my points to buy all the furniture, and then I have all the furniture, and now I'm going to jack up the prices and charge people more. I mean,
Well, the thing is, we don't have furniture shops. They're in people's homes. We don't have those facilities.
because I'm saying because it's less for the plays because that one's pretty straightforward. You go see the play, the actors get paid a base amount. That's
Okay.
fine. Now, what about painters? Because they produce a painting. What now they finish the painting? Is the painting just theirs? Do they sell it on their own? Or carpentry? They build the thing and they're paid for their time of doing that. And then are they then do they sell the can they sell the chair or do they maybe that's it. Maybe it's just once they have it, it's theirs to do with what they please. Like they're paid a base amount for pursuing that hobby, and then they can choose to sell the item in addition to get some extra points. Because I mean, that's just going to happen.
Because I don't see them going through I don't see a supply chain here. Them going selling it to a store and the store sells it to a customer. I just
Yeah.
see it going direct from consumer to consumer,
And
or
this is
from producer to consumer.
yeah, and this is obviously more for non-essential items. This is not food. This is not like you will have furniture in your house. This is more like specialty pieces, like if someone's like doing carpentry projects. Um, this is
that's a neat chest.
yeah. And someone says, I want that in my room. And they're like, oh, well, I built this. I can build another one. And like, I think that'll also help. I mean, I don't think the point system will get too crazy because it'll be like, well, I'm already getting paid to produce this chest. So unless I'm having to do like 40 of them, I'm not going to like get sick of it. And it's like, oh yeah, I can build you one of these and it'll cost you 10 points or whatever. And then they give them and then that sets a certain level of like the trade. There's going to have to be, if the points are transferable, there's going to be some trading for goods and services. That just naturally will happen because people will have something that other people want. And
We have made a market and a black market at the same time. And there is no way to not create one without the other. It is
And with these
impossible.
points, but with these points, it's better than an actual like currency system now because you can't go buy things with it. It's just for you to go get some entertainment. And so if you're like, you know what,
Yeah.
I've already been to the movie like 50 times, I still got 1 billion points. I don't really see the point of me working right now because I already got a home. I can't go anywhere right now. So
yeah, and
Starbucks is a bank. You know, there's no ethical consumption or like capitalism.
You're not wrong.
Well,
You're not wrong.
I also like because it does incentivize people to adopt creative hobbies in addition to their general requirements. It's like, hey, I can make a little bit like there's like, oh, I'm bored, like I'm sitting around, I could go watch something, but it's like, hey, I could make a few extra points if I wanted to like get into history or writing or something like that. And they go and pursue that. And they're actually also still producing more that's helping out and they're guaranteed to make a certain amount. And they're also finding a creative outlet that will help them kind of find something to do in this bunker to not go stir crazy. And the main thing is that people aren't pressured into doing it really because they don't have to, because they're getting all their needs are provided for by the bunker and they are still receiving points to participate in these activities to a certain extent on their own. And it then does become almost like these points really are more of a social currency than anything else because it is for their entertainment, for how much they want to interact and be part of the community more than anything else, I think.
But it's not a social currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, that word triggers me. Can you please not say that in front of me? No, but I like that it's a good system we're in, that we don't have to worry about. It sounds mean, but thank God they can't go anywhere. Otherwise, this would be a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
How do we want to phrase this vote? I know that's Tony's job, but
Yes.
On AI.
are we ready?
I would say how I will phrase it is, you know, and it'll be based, I will obviously keep the input of this discussion and all the terms in my mind, but the official wording that I will run by will probably be most likely jobs will be assigned jobs will be assigned in two different categories. Well, how do you phrase this?
Yeah,
I'd say sorry, Josh, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, go for it.
I was gonna say there are two types of jobs. Skilled, which have already been assigned, and unskilled laborers, which can be chosen by the person themselves unless they have prior experience in the field. Whereas you can also make extra points going to university and by having a hobby that is productive.
Okay, yes, here's how I'm going to phrase it. There are two categories of jobs: unskilled jobs that can be performed by anyone, and skilled jobs that require a university component to participate in. In addition, additional points will be awarded to contracts based off of entertainment to the producers of artwork. Um, that will be in addition to the points they receive, separate from the the primary job that they choose and or are assigned. Does that kind of sound what we're talking about?
When you say producers artwork, do you just mean anything anyone will
Yes.
kind of go for?
Yes.
But like, okay, that
because
works
once
for me.
again, that
Broad.
includes live entertainment, musicians, actors. That includes, to me,
Woodworkers.
Woodworkers. It includes, you know, smaller kind of item fabricaters. It includes writers. It includes, you know, like
All of Etsy.
I think that maybe, okay, could we even maybe add that people can propose what they want to do, and then the contract can be awarded if it is approved?
I don't know about approving a contract. I mean, how about anything that has a market to it?
I think we make a bunker Etsy. I really do, where people can sort of either commission different works from people or sort of like say, hey, I have this idea. Can anyone help me make it a thing?
That could work.
Okay, what if it was, okay, and this would keep everything fair. Maybe you just have like a set amount of points that you get for participating in a hobby.
Yeah.
And like anyone can, you get to choose what that is. Like I want to act, and it's time based. It's like, okay, yeah, you go and do this you go act for a few hours and you get points for that.
You get a set amount of points for having having a hobby, and then depending on if you could sell that or negotiate that with someone else, you get extra points depending what you have. So you
Right.
get 2 points for just having a hobby, and if you're a writer, you get an extra 10 points if you sell your piece.
Yeah, and these points are available to everyone, and it also that keeps people. It's like, well, I'm not good at drawing. It's like, well, but you can start doing it, and you'll still be getting points, and you'll be getting better at it. And then once you're good enough to, and then, you know, eventually you could be at a point where you are good enough that people want to buy it. But before that, you are also kind of, you are just, it is incentivized that if you're not participating in the consumption of entertainment, the production of some form of entertainment also is subsidized.
Works for me.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So let's kind of split up this vote so it's just not like crazy. The first thing is that there are two types of jobs: unskilled, which can be performed by any member of the bunker, and skilled positions, which have a requirement of education at the university, unless otherwise overrided. I'm just adding that caveat just in case, like, what if someone wanders in from the street who's like a particle physicist? Like, are we going to have them get re-educated through the program? Could they just be like, okay, obviously you know what you're doing, you're approved, you can start working, you know?
Okay, works for me.
But if no one has a, let's go yay or nay on that. And make sure you say your name.
Oh, Donald Dick-Teen, yay.
Kalen Deese, yay.
Josh Robbins, yay, yay.
All right, and that passes unanimously with, yeah, because, oh, I don't think we specified this. I don't think we said it. Technically, Dawn is getting Diego's vote, and Josh has Linnea's vote. So each of them have 2 votes right now.
Yep.
So that passes
Powerful.
with
Diego, I'm making you proud.
5. Then after that, there's an additional almost gig economy that is based off of people's hobbies. People will be paid to, people will be given points to pursue their hobbies, and then they can choose to, they can be offered, they can be, wow, okay. Actually, I'm sorry, this is actually kind of confusing, because once again, this goes to, couldn't someone make the argument, oh, I made a painting, I'm selling a painting. What stops the people from doing shows from saying, well, I'm producing this art, why can't I charge points for it, for people to see it?
Okay, I see a point there. Damn it. Thought we had this.
It's not very easy creating a society, is it, Don?
We live in a society. Look at all this society around me. But okay, so yeah, there's a difference in fields. You definitely see that. Okay, how about this? For those who work in fields that are free, so say actors, they will get a depending on how much what they do, a specified more base amount of points. So say someone who works as a carpenter will get 2 points just for, you know, having the hobby, and then they can make money off of it. That money is not guaranteed what they are getting. It could be anywhere between 1 credit to 500 credits. Whereas an actor who is doing it for free, they could get a base of 5 points.
Okay.
And that is guaranteed.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting determining these values for certain. I think it is, yeah, this is something that's tough. It's theoretically sound, I think. It's one of those things I don't know if it starts to have problems when you start actually acting on it.
So I have one actual example on this.
Okay.
It's the pay structure between the U.S. women's soccer team and the men's soccer team. It's the women's soccer.
Guys, I hate to say this, I am going to have to head out. I know it's an inopportune timing, but
I think you saved me from some weird saying, so it's okay.
I think do we want to just table this until next week, and maybe Diego and Linnea can give some input? We'll start this system with the jobs, and I might have some NPCs who will have some opinions on how things have been going in the bunker, and we can get some outside opinions from them as well.
Oh, so, please, and let me start off with my men and women's soccer team.
Thanks, Councilman. I'll see you guys in the next couple
Josh.
weeks.
Have a good one.
Great meeting. See ya.
With Josh gone, I guess the one thing we didn't vote on, technically we still have 3 votes in the chat. So there's one more vote you guys can do if you want, which is you guys can choose to add 1 facility to the bunker if you choose. Is there anything that you think would be interesting to add to the space? Or anything based off of the discussions we've had today that would be helpful for the bunker to have an addition?
Not for
refugee camps.
What did you say?
I said refugee camps.
Oh, I thought you said some other kind of camps. I was like, oh,
No,
buddy,
I said
please.
I think you guys already kind of have that, because if you guys remember in your near your primary entrance, there is a location with housing for people who are currently waiting to be accepted into the bunker.
I mean, the only thing I could think of, like, I wouldn't add a facility based off anything we talked about today. I think maybe like just an extra set of restrooms. But at that point, I don't think.
I wouldn't want to add like anything too big without the other members here.
Okay. You don't have to add anything.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm not down to add anything either.
or you could just or if you wanted to spin building something fun, like, hey, we want a robot or something like that, that would be fine too.
Can we build Megatron?
And I don't think you could build Megatron, but we'll go ahead and not add anything to the base this week if you guys have nothing that's jumping out at you. I think that's going to kind of wrap it up. A little bit more of a kind of serious episode today, as we kind of talking through. But I'm glad we finally nailed this down. I think it's going to inform a lot of what I'm going to do with the future of the base, as far as like how people are going to interact and do that. I'll update that sheet with kind of the general assignments of all the people before the next session in 2 weeks. But that brings us to our housekeeping. I've I've been your government master, Tony. Tony Wilkinson. You can catch all the shows on the CoCast network. Go ahead and see those. We have this show happens every other week at this time slot at 7 p.m. Every other week, we do a show called Construction, which I am one of the hosts for, as well as Josh Robbins, who you saw earlier, and Linnea Anderson, who has not joined us but is usually on this show. That is a show where we have an hour to construct a world and a story from a series of randomly generated prompts. It's a great time. It's one of my favorite things to do every other week. And also, we have the I Am Sitting in a Room podcast, which premieres every Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And that one is a new host every week where they sit in a room and talk for an hour straight, uninterrupted. And it's kind of an exploration of the stream of consciousness and how that can function. With that, I think that's all the stuff I really have to plug. There'll be some exciting announcements soon about the Co-Arts Productions, which is our kind of parent organization. The live shows we're going to be doing this summer. So keep an eye out on that if you're living in the local Norman, OKC area, because we have several shows we're wanting to put on with that. So that should be pretty exciting. We'll be announcing those pretty soon. And with that, I'll let you guys go ahead and plug whatever you want before we wrap up.
I've been Council Member Donald Dickteen. Don't have much to plug except for this show and literally anything in the CoCast network, because I've listened to multiple of the shows on Spotify just in my car, and I love each and every one of them. So give them a listen. I think you'll like them.
And this has been your council member, Kaylin Deese. I just wrote an article this weekend called what is an NFT? Artists weigh in on the latest money-making craze. I know it's a little late, but I interviewed some artists this week who talked about it. It was pretty fun to write. So if you want to look it up, it's online and it's on the WashingtonExaminer.com.
What's the title called?
It's called What is an NFT? Artists weigh in on the latest money-making craze. It's kind of long.
Perfect.
And then lastly, a shout out to our hosts who aren't here today, Linnea Anderson, Diego, and Josh Robbins, who had to leave, as well as a shout out to our new producer, Shannery Goosen, who's there making sure our audio doesn't cut out like it did on our second week. So thank you, Shannery, for all you're doing for us. I think that's going to be about it. And I guess unless someone has anything else to say, all I can say is until we